Boss fired me for his nephew, so I exposed the corruption. He got terminated by Friday. Picture this, you're 28, crushing it at your dream job, and life is finally clicking into place. That was me 3 months ago. Sarah Mitchell, Senior Marketing Analyst at Pinnacle Solutions, one of Denver's hottest tech startups. I had everything mapped out. My Honda Civic was paid off, I'd just signed a lease on a gorgeous apartment in Cherry Creek, and my boss, Rick Thompson, had been dropping hints about a promotion for weeks. "Sarah, you're exactly what this company needs," he'd say during our weekly one-on-ones at Starbucks. The irony, I genuinely loved my job. 60-hour weeks felt like nothing when you're building marketing campaigns that actually moved the needle. Our Q3 numbers were up 40%, largely thanks to the social media strategy I'd pioneered. Even the CEO, David Chen, had personally thanked me during the all-hands meeting. But here's what I didn't know, Rick had a problem. His 25-year-old nephew, Kyle, had just graduated from some random college in Montana with a marketing degree and zero experience. Family pressure was mounting. Rick's sister had been calling daily, demanding he find Kyle something good. The writing was on the wall, but I was too busy succeeding to read it. Everything changed on a Tuesday morning. Rick called me into his office, not our usual Starbucks spot, but his sterile corner office with its fake motivational posters. He couldn't even look me in the eye. "Sarah, we need to talk about your role here." But what happened next would make my blood boil and set the stage for the most satisfying week of corporate revenge you've ever heard. "Sarah, we're restructuring the marketing department," Rick said, fidgeting with his Apple Watch. "Your position is being eliminated." The words hit like a freight train. Eliminated? I just delivered the best quarterly results in company history. "I don't understand," I managed. "The numbers speak for themselves. We're exceeding every target." Rick's face turned red. "It's not about performance. It's about efficiency. We're bringing in fresh talent with new perspectives." Fresh talent. That's when Kyle walked in. "Sarah, meet Kyle Thompson, he'll be taking over your responsibilities." "Kyle, this is Sarah. She'll be showing you the ropes before her departure." The resemblance was unmistakable. Same weak chin, same shifty eyes. Kyle couldn't have been more than 22, wearing a wrinkled button-down and reeking of cheap cologne. His handshake was limp, his smile cocky. "Nice to meet you, Sarah. Uncle Rick's told me so much about you. Don't worry, I'll take good care of your projects." Uncle Rick. He didn't even try to hide it. "When's my last day?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. "Friday. We'll need you to transition everything by then. Kyle starts Monday." 5 days. After 3 years of 60-hour weeks, missed dinners, and weekend calls, they were giving me 5 days. "What about severance?" Rick shuffled papers awkwardly. "Standard 2 weeks, as per your contract. HR will handle the details." 2 weeks. For someone who'd generated millions in revenue. As I walked back to my desk in a daze, Kyle was already settling into the conference room, feet up on the table, scrolling through his iPhone. Other employees were staring. News travels fast in a startup. But they'd made one critical mistake. They assumed I'd go quietly. They had no idea what a desperate, brilliant, and newly motivated woman could accomplish in 5 days. That night, I sat in my apartment with a bottle of Kendall Jackson Chardonnay and my laptop, staring at my resignation letter draft. But something nagged at me. Kyle's hiring felt too convenient, too quick. So I did what any good marketer does. I investigated. LinkedIn was my first stop. Kyle Thompson's profile was a masterpiece of embellishment. Marketing specialist at Pinnacle Solutions, already updated, though he hadn't even started. His previous experience: social media intern at Thompson Family Restaurants, a single-location diner in Billings, Montana that had 47 Facebook followers. But the real goldmine was his college transcripts. A quick call to my sorority sister Emma, who worked in university administration, revealed Kyle had graduated with a 2.3 GPA. His capstone project: why McDonald's should use more red in their advertising. I was just getting started. Wednesday morning, I arrived early and started my knowledge transfer with Kyle. Within 10 minutes, it was clear he didn't understand basic marketing metrics. He thought center stood for click the response, and asked if we could make our ads more viral. "How did you hear about this position?" I asked innocently. "Oh, Uncle Rick called me last month. Said they needed someone with fresh ideas." I wasn't even looking for a job. I was planning to backpack through Europe. Last month, a full month before my elimination was announced. During lunch, I grabbed coffee with Maya, our HR coordinator. She was furious about the whole situation. "Sarah, between you and me, this stinks. Rick never posted the position internally. No job description, no interviews, no reference checks. Kyle's paperwork came pre-approved from corporate. Pre-approved by who? Maya glanced around nervously. That's just it, there's no signature on the hiring authorization. Someone in payroll asked me about it yesterday. The pieces were falling into place, but I needed more evidence. And I was running out of time to gather it. Thursday was my masterpiece day. With Kyle shadowing me, mostly playing games on his phone, I had unprecedented access to everything. Kyle, let me show you our client management system, I said, pulling up our CRM. You'll need to understand our biggest accounts. What Kyle didn't realize was that our CRM tracked everything, including unusual hiring patterns, budget anomalies, and approval workflows. Rick's activity logs were a treasure trove. March 15th, Rick created a new position code, Marketing Specialist Level 2, with a salary range of $75,000 to $85,000. My salary was $68,000. March 18th, Rick requested budget approval for the new position, citing expansion needs. March 22nd, Rick submitted Kyle's hiring paperwork before Kyle had even applied. March 25th, Rick attended the family dinner where his sister demanded he hire Kyle. I found this gem on his Facebook, where his sister had posted, "So proud of Rick for finally doing right by family. Kyle's going to love his new job." But the smoking gun came from our expense reports. Rick had been billing client dinners that were actually family meals. Thompson Family Restaurant in Billings, the same restaurant where Kyle had worked, appeared on Rick's expense reports 6 times in the past year. Each time coincided with family visits. I quietly forwarded everything to my personal email and made copies of the key documents. Thursday afternoon, Rick pulled me aside. "Sarah, I want you to know this isn't personal. You're talented, but Kyle brings a different energy. Sometimes companies need fresh blood." "I understand completely," I lied. "Kyle seems enthusiastic." "He is, and he's got some great ideas about influencer marketing and TikTok campaigns." Kyle's great ideas included hiring his ex-girlfriend as a brand ambassador and creating a company mascot costume for trade shows. By Thursday night, I had enough evidence to bury Rick's career. The question was, how to deploy it for maximum impact. Friday morning, my last day. I arrived at 6 a.m. with a box of Dunkin' Donuts and a meticulously planned strategy. First stop, David Chen, our CEO. He was always in early, nursing his morning coffee and reviewing numbers. "Sarah, I'm sorry to hear about your departure. Rick mentioned you wanted to pursue other opportunities." Other opportunities. Rick had lied to everyone, including the CEO. "Actually, David, I was hoping to discuss my transition with you. There are some irregularities in the hiring process I think you should be aware of." I laid out everything professionally. The timeline, the expense reports, the lack of proper hiring procedures, Kyle's fabricated qualifications. David's face grew darker with each revelation. "Do you have documentation for this?" I handed him a neat folder containing copies of everything. "I thought you should have this before I left." David's jaw tightened. "Sarah, would you be willing to speak with our legal team this afternoon?" "Of course. I want what's best for Pinnacle Solutions." Next, I scheduled a meeting with our biggest client, Patricia Williams from Megacorp Industries. We'd built an incredible relationship over 2 years, and she deserved to know about the transition. "Sarah, I'm devastated you're leaving. Who's taking over our account?" "Kyle Thompson, Rick's nephew. He's very enthusiastic about influencer marketing." Patricia's expression shifted. "Wait, nephew. Sarah, Megacorp has strict policies about vendor nepotism. We can't work with companies that engage in preferential hiring practices." "Oh, I'm sure it's just a coincidence," I said innocently. "I'll need to escalate this to our procurement team. We may need to review our contract." By noon, I had set 3 separate fires. But the best part, Rick had no idea the flames were already spreading. At 2 p.m., Rick burst into the office like a tornado. His face was purple, his shirt wrinkled, and his hands were shaking. "What did you do?" he screamed, loud enough for the entire office to hear. "I'm sorry," I said calmly, continuing to pack my desk items. "David wants to see me immediately. Patricia Williams is threatening to pull the Megacorp contract. Legal is asking about hiring practices." "What did you do?" The office had gone silent. Kyle stood frozen by the printer, looking like a deer in headlights. "Rick, I simply transitioned my responsibilities as requested. I made sure all stakeholders were informed about the change in leadership. You sabotaged me. You're trying to destroy my career." Maya from HR appeared. "Rick, David needs to see you in his office. Now." As Rick stormed off, Kyle approached me nervously. "Sarah, what's happening? Uncle Rick seems really upset." "Oh, just normal transition stuff," I smiled. By the way, Kyle, you might want to update your LinkedIn profile. I think there are going to be some changes around here. At 3:30 p.m., the office erupted in whispers. Rick emerged from David's office carrying a cardboard box, his face ashen. Security was escorting him out. Kyle ran after him. Uncle Rick, what's happening? What about my job? There is no job, Rick snapped. Pack your stuff. We're both done. David appeared in the hallway. All staff meeting in 5 minutes. The meeting was brief. Effective immediately, Rick Thompson is no longer with the company. We're conducting a full review of recent hiring practices. Sarah Mitchell, would you be available to discuss extending your tenure while we sort this out? The revenge was complete, but the sweetest part was still coming. Monday morning, I walked back into Pinnacle Solutions as the interim VP of Marketing, with a $95,000 salary in Rick's corner office. Kyle's desk had been cleared out. His LinkedIn now read, seeking opportunities, with no mention of Pinnacle Solutions. The poor kid had lasted exactly -1 days. But the real satisfaction came from the fallout. Rick's expense fraud investigation uncovered $23,000 in inappropriate charges dating back 2 years. The company filed criminal charges. Megacorp not only renewed their contract but increased it by 40%, specifically requesting to work with me. Kyle had to move back in with his parents in Montana. His mom posted on Facebook asking if anyone knew about job opportunities for recent graduates. The best part, Rick's sister, the one who pressured him to hire Kyle, unfriended him on Facebook and posted, "Some people let family down in the worst ways. So disappointed in my brother's choices." 3 months later, I was promoted to VP permanently. My first hire, Maya from HR, who became my operations manager. I kept Rick's motivational posters in my office as a reminder, success is where preparation meets opportunity. Rick had given me the opportunity. I just made sure I was prepared. The moral of the story: never underestimate a woman with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Especially when she's got 5 days to plan your downfall. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad, it's getting even, getting promoted, and getting the last laugh.